Ladies and gentlemen, happy freaking end of the week. Happy Friday.
Friday.
We are here to give you some entertainment, catch you up on all the news. And today, I've brought a very good friend along, and we're going to give you a little bit of an education before we get started.
Wow.
Right? So don't say group chat never taught you nothing.
Okay.
We are joined by my good friend, Mikey Taylor. Known Mikey for a very, very long time. Actually, probably, Mikey, we probably met like 14 years ago.
Probably. Yeah. Skirts of Ohio.
Yes, but we've become friends, I'd say, over the last, 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. You have made an incredibly successful pivot from a life as a professional skateboarder, where your entire life was dedicated to nothing but skateboarding, and achievement outside of that is looked at as lame, to a very successful real estate investor. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay,
yeah.
great. So
He's not going to say he's not successful. I'm
Actually,
his LPs are like, is that fair? He's like, invest in.
I always feel like when
I was like, where the fuck is this guy at? If he's
I always feel like when I say like real estate investor, like people will get like, no, well, technically I blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm shortchanging.
it doesn't matter to me.
Okay, great.
Yeah. That's where I spend most of my time.
So I wanted to start off with, we talked about it right before we started recording. You are big on jumping on the content trends. You just started a TikTok page. It's blowing up. Yeah. We just watched you film a little bit of a trendy video right before we started.
the snap.
But you also started, you do a podcast, you do a lot of video content. I know you're trying to really actively figure out content. It seems like this one piece of content of yours really, really, really took off and blew up. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like you put out a video about whether right now is the right time to rent a house or buy a house, and why. And that really just took off.
Yeah, it resonated. I mean, it's funny, the concept between trying to figure out content, I had my content figured out when I was skating. And then when I wasn't skating, it was like, okay, what works now? Yeah. And as a skater, like I was really like trying to always put out things that people liked. And as I got older, I realized that that's actually not a very strong way to put out content. I should just put out content that I believe in.
Yeah.
Which was an adjustment for me, because that typically means that there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with that. And what I found was that there were so many people asking me if they should buy a house right now, just because of the transition I had made. And I felt like it was a relative topic to just kind of educate people on whether or not they should rent versus buy, because most of us think that if we don't own it, it's bad. Yeah. And I think like we grew up in this idea that if we're renting, it just means we're throwing away money. And that's actually not true.
We had a conversation 2 weeks ago because of your video, and I thought that up until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You could have just walked over to the offices next door.
We both rent.
I know, but you guys both are well aware that when you break down the numbers, it makes more sense to rent a house right now than to buy one?
It depends where you want to live and what access to investment opportunities if you have extra cash laying around.
Of course.
Those are two important things.
And there's another thing too, is there's a time to buy and there's a time to rent. And they usually go like this. And I think we're coming to a point where it's really kind of leaning towards renting now. And I think like it all comes down to, we have this notion that if we buy a house, it's going to go up in value, right? Yeah. We speculate that it's going to be worth more. Yep. So we just assume by buying it, we'll make money, but that's not always the case, because we're essentially guessing that we'll make money. That's not how it works. So when you stop looking at it that way and you're just comparing it to money going out for living, then you start maybe introducing the idea that you just mentioned, well, what other investments do you have? Is there a way to make more money from something else that eventually covers your rent? So that rent actually becomes a non-issue now. You just have to expand your thinking. If you're just going off of rent versus buy, it just depends on the cycle of the market.
And give me the super basic top level, why is it that, because my thought was always, well, sure, my mortgage might be $5,000 a month, but at least I'm paying into something that I own, whereas if I'm paying $5,000 in rent, I'm literally just lighting that money on fire. Why is that not true?
Okay, so because by owning it doesn't mean you make money. I think that's the biggest kicker. I'm actually a perfect example of it. I just sold my house 2 weeks ago. I owned it for 15 years. Owner for 15 years. I didn't make $1. I broke even over 15 years.
And imagine if, to counter that, Sorry.
Counter that. Imagine if 15 years ago, let's say for just basic math, your home 15 years ago cost $100,000, and he put $100,000 into something everyone had access to, which was Amazon stock. Anyone could buy that.
Yeah.
Think about how much money he would have made off Amazon stock, and he could have continued renting.
Yeah. So this was the thing that changed for me. Me growing up and then starting to make some money in skateboarding, all the people that I looked up to inside of skateboarding said, go buy a house. That's the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
And so I just always assumed owning your own house is like the mecca of investing. I just didn't have greater understanding beyond that.
Yeah.
So once I realized that there's a difference, and kind of to your point, there's things that you can invest into that actually pay you on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis, money coming in, right? I didn't even realize that at that point. I just thought, own a home and I'll make money. So what I should have done, and why the market was the wrong time when I bought, the market, that was not the right time to buy, because you were able to rent a bigger home for cheaper. So I should have saved the money, take a loss on the rent, and put that chunk of down payment into a cash flow producing asset. And then I would have made money this whole time, instead of just put all my money in one basket and then sit on it for 15 years and speculate that it'll be worth more. And it's not.
So what makes the pendulum swing? Is it rent prices versus mortgage rates, or what?
Yeah, basically I guess the easiest way to explain it is just like a price per square foot. Yeah. And right now what we're seeing is you're able to rent a larger house for less than if you were to buy it.
Yep.
Right?
I'm in the exact same situation now. I'm the home that I just moved into. If I were to buy it and pay a mortgage, it would have been more than what I'm renting.
Exactly.
Which doesn't make sense to me to buy it.
You're exactly right. But the only reason why people do buy is because we're built with this idea that renting is throwing away money.
Yeah.
That's why we feel the need to own. But that only works is if you make money doing it. It's just, you're not, this is the thing. Now with kind of having a deep dive into investing, when you invest in a property, you have a whole strategy on how it's going to work out. You know exactly what you're doing before you get in. We don't do that when we buy a home. We just go, we love this house. It's a perfect area. The schools are good. There is no strategy at all. Exactly.
And you're putting like 25 to 30% of the home's cost
Bingo.
in cash that is going towards the
Which
home.
is earning $0 dollars.
Totally.
Just think about it this way. The last 10 years, forget the Amazon example, because that's like, you're the most brilliant stock picker of all time. You picked Amazon. No one really knew Amazon was going to be Amazon 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The S&P 500 last 8-9 years, 10 to 11% annually.
Yeah.
There's no home.
What home has gone up 10 to 11% annually?
You just nailed it.
Yeah.
You just nailed it. You could have invested so conservatively in like a growth fund or this stuff, and you would have been paid out better than if you would have bought a house.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems like a bit of a,
for thought.
like that's what we're
then
told.
To even go a little deeper, if the S&P 500 isn't going up, you're damn
Home
well
price.
sure the home isn't going up. Because it's a reflection of what's going on in the American economy.
Yeah.
And I didn't even, I mean, to be honest, when you even broke down, Mikey, like all of the, when you really add in property taxes and all of these different things, it's like the road to really making a lot of money is so.
You're right. So this is, I think, the thing that you need to recognize. By owning a home, you do have a fixed cost, right? So that is one security in a sense that people will like. Two, owning a home, you do have the freedom to do things to that home that you couldn't if you're renting. But it's not an investment strategy. This is my home that I want to own.
Yeah, that's different. I accept that.
Exactly.
When people say, I want to own it because it's important for me to own a home, and I just want to do whatever the hell I want to do. And
Bingo.
And I protect the fact that I get to live here for as long as I want to live here.
And the other secret thing of really rich people, they put very little down because the banks have such a history with them. So they're putting 5 to 10% down, getting 90% mortgage,
0%
on low interest rates.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of renting.
Yeah.
The rich person are renting, and they get, if the home goes up, great. If not, they get the tax benefits of the mortgage.
It's just funny how I feel like owning a home is like the most fundamental American smart financial.
fooled
model.
you.
So
They
there it
fooled
is.
you.
You nailed it. That's exactly what happened. They sell you on this idea that owning a home is a status thing. It's by saying you rent, you're supposed to not be as successful as the guy that owns. It's supposed to be like this staple that we like shoot to achieve. That's a message.
Would you rather own a home or have 1 million followers on TikTok?
Here we go.
Yeah, I'd rather have the 1 million followers.
Exactly.
For sure.
What owning a home means nothing. Everyone knows you have 1 million
I can
followers
make rent
on
money
TikTok.
off that 1 million followers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's my next question, Mikey. A lot of our listeners ask us about investment advice.
Okay.
That being said, one of the biggest things that you'll hear, stock market, real estate, right? For where you invest. What's the smart way to invest your money in real estate?
Okay.
Because it sounds like just going and buying that home down the street it's not that easy.
No. Well, okay. So me personally, I'm a fan of multiple doors. I don't like single family. So I want something, I want apartment buildings with a lot of doors, storage units. I don't want one tenant. So I like the idea of getting a bigger unit. Mobile home parks are like doing really well right now. The thing is,
everyone's going to have to live there soon at the way they're costing.
well, exactly.
Most people that bought
People are
houses.
just getting priced out, and you're seeing what's happening with the baby boomers.
Yeah.
The graying of America is happening, and there's no place for them to go.
Yeah.
So there's an industry there that has opportunity. The thing is, like, getting started is, I think, like what most people don't know what to do, and you really have to like decide or acknowledge what you are if you want to be an active investor or a passive investor. Right? If you're going to be an active investor, well, you need to go learn because you're going to be the one going out and doing the work. And you can't just, I'm just going to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're going to be passive, then you either got to find the people that you're going to invest with or go to some of these like crowdfunding platforms that I think like Fundrise or CrowdStreet, something like that, where they show you different opportunities that you can invest in through their portal.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, you still need to know you still need to know how to do due diligence on the people that you're going to invest in.
Yeah.
So I think it always starts with education.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, and this is the last thing I want to ask you is, I said this in the beginning, you successfully made one of the best, like I grew up skateboarding, that was my dream, right? But skateboarding, I would say notoriously worse than professional sports, has a really bad thing that happens after your time runs out, right?
Yeah.
So around 30, your time starts to run out as a pro skateboarder. Different than being an athlete, you didn't make enough money to live off of. And a lot of athletes go broke, but skaters end up going and working at a skate shop, going and working at the company that used to sponsor them. It's like,
What about the homie that you saw at the Ojai?
yep. So
Calling out names.
He's like, what's his name again?
I'm sure Mikey knows who it is.
yeah. So the point is,
He's trying to
I have
avoid
a
this.
feeling.
yeah, I'm not saying names. So the point is, it's rough, right? And you're not taught, like growing up skateboarding, number one, you spend all of your time and energy worried about skateboarding. That's it. And going and educating yourself or reading or thinking about money is looked at as lame in that culture. Mikey, you have made this incredibly successful transition. And this kind of ties into, we just saw this Antonio Brown story where he posted on Twitter that he's retiring and fuck the NFL and fuck you with your fantasy football teams and fuck everyone, right? Can I just ask you, because we could go on for an hour about this, but what was the single hardest thing for you making such a big foundational shift in like not only careers, but like thought patterns, goals, ambitions? What was the hardest thing to do to make that transition?
Letting go of what I viewed my identity as was by far the hardest. I mean, like when you ask what I resonated with, I resonated as skater first and foremost.
Yeah.
So like to have that feel like it was gone, even though I was still a skater, but like the pro aspect changed it, and to like be known as this one thing and have to try and not be that anymore was by far the hardest. It just felt like I was somebody and then I was nobody.
So what about like anyone, let's say our listeners, like switching careers, these little things that happen where you do feel this fundamental like shift in your identity? Or maybe like a big question I get asked is, I have my side hustle, but I have to quit my job to really dedicate to it, right? But there's this fundamental shift in who you are as a person. Any advice on how to prepare for it or what to do when you see it coming?
Dude, for me, man, like I almost did the opposite of what my body was telling me to do. Like, I'd have like these feelings or insecurities saying, just go back to skating. That's what's comfortable. And like, I got to a point where it's like, everything that I'm going to try and tell myself is a lie and just do the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's like actually started working until I stopped hearing those thoughts. But I think the hardest part is like, it's uncomfortable doing something that you don't know, right? Like, and I think that's why so many people get stuck inside of skateboarding, because it's comfortable for us. It's like we can still be that thing we were and move into a new thing inside the skate industry and still be something.
Yep.
When you change careers, you're starting at the very bottom again.
Yep.
And so, I think it's harder, it's more uncomfortable, but the payout is so much larger. So
So
it's
how are
almost
you transitioning now from real estate to TikTok star? Because the TikTok.
You ready for this one? So I just
how do you recreate your identity?
You ready for this one? You'll love this. So like, I'm sitting here talking to my wife, right? I'm like, I can't crack this TikTok code, right? She's like, let me see. And she like looks at my stuff. She's like, well, your content sucks, right? And I'm like, what? She's like, look, and this was her recommendation. This is what I'm running with. She's like, your other channels, you have a purpose for what you're doing with that content. TikTok, like, why don't you just make the thing like fun and like more about like your personal stuff, like. And I was like, all right. So then I just kind of loosened up a little bit. Yeah. Like I don't dance. I hate dancing, but like that's a big thing on TikTok. Yeah. So, I don't know. You might catch me, but I can snap. But I have a daughter, right? She's 7. She's like, we don't show her the phone, but like every time I look at TikTok, she's like, stoked. So like maybe I'll like try to feed off her.
Use her fame.
Start eating off my kid. Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's funny.
Okay.
You know what it is, man? Just to answer your question simply, it's not taking yourself too serious.
Exactly.
I think that's exactly what it is. It's like just have fun.
Yeah.
It's funny. I feel like in this social media age, like celebrities and people like that used to deal with like transitioning from one thing to another, but like now it feels like everyone deals with that pressure. Like this random guy in Illinois is like, well, all my followers know me as this. Yeah. How am I going to introduce? You know what I mean? And
it really does. It really is everybody. Like you hear this like from sales guys a lot. It's like sales guys have to constantly be reinventing themselves. Same with athletes. Same with musicians. It's just, I think musicians or athletes are more of a center focus, so you pay attention to them.
Yep.
But like, I think all of us, even when people retire, you're reinventing yourself there.
Yeah.
We just have to do it in the public eye, which makes it more stressful.
yeah, well, at least you got a hit piece of content with that freaking rent or buy, man.
Yeah.
Now you're just officially like, you're doing speaking engagements.
Dude, you know what's gnarly though? Look, there's so people in real life are like starting to hit me up, right? Well, with skating, like I had friends that follow me like for skating, but like they would never call me like, hey, what are you doing? Can I like pick your brain?
Yeah.
Now that's happening where people are like, so what should I do about this? I'm like, guys, look, I'm not like a financial advisor. Like I'm just out here like buying properties.
You know what? You should hit up Taylor for maybe do a real estate course.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Some good money.
That's right. Let's do this.
Yeah, you can
I'm
sell
saying Taylor's my guy. Right when I met him, I felt it.
Yeah.
I
You
was
guys
like,
could look like you could be related.
I'm getting plugged in with him.
Yeah, well, make sure all of our listeners, make sure if you need any real estate advice, at Mikey Taylor on Instagram, TikTok.
TikTok, Mikey Taylor 82. That's the big one. Start heading there.
There you go.
Block.
6-second real estate advice.
There you go.
Buy this house right now.
And then throw a piece of cheese at your daughter's face.
It's good.
Okay, who's ready for some news?
Yes.
Mikey, thank you.
Thanks
Thanks for starting us off with a good,
Thank you.
a good lesson. Okay, we're gonna jump right into pop culture. We're not gonna learn anything here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Emma Watson, famous actress, has decided that she no longer wants to be called single. She would like you to put some respect on her name, and she would like to be called self-partnered.
Idiot. Not only is she an idiot, self-partnered, is that insinuating she's masturbating?
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But all I know is
because her partner is herself.
But here's my thing is, if you're so empowered, why do you even need a partner? Why do you feel this need to be partnered with anyone?
Well, what I can't figure out is what's the difference? You're still single. You're still not dating
So
somebody.
single implies lacking, I think.
You're still not bucking.
But self-partnered.
She might be bucking.
So no, this is interesting.
I don't think she is bucking.
I think she's bucking herself.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we might have to throw Taylor in this, but I'm curious. Yeah. So single means that you're lacking something, but self-partnered means you're not, but in reality, you're still the same?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that
she's
correct?
basically trying
Taylor,
to,
is that correct?
Verified.
Yes.
she's trying to imply that being single has a negative connotation
To who?
Yeah,
to
that's what
society for a 30-year-old woman is what she's making.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
I
what
get
she's trying
that.
to say.
That's
I get
actually
that.
a fair
so
point.
she's trying to say like I'm happy. I'm not agreeing with this whole you should be self-partnered versus single. I do think there is a situation women go through post age of 30 if they're not with someone that men don't have to.
But I don't think those women want to be called self-partner.
Maybe not. Maybe the terminology might be different.
But also, why? Like, I don't. Yeah.
I think
I know that you don't agree either, so I'm not
Yeah.
arguing with you.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, we just live in this time where everything needs to be like protected against.
Labeled.
Like, just be single. You're single. There's no negative
Yeah,
or
it's all
good or
good.
bad. If you feel a way about it, Don't make up this weird thing. Just be single.
Just be single and happy.
And I saw that Gwyneth Paltrow, when she first divorced from Chris Martin, she wanted to call it a conscious uncoupling.
Yeah, that was
Instead of
famous.
a divorce. That was famous
She's
from back-
annoying. She's the most annoying person in the
Dee
world.
hates her.
I cannot
love
stand
Dee.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
I don't know anything
She's
about
a
her.
big pile of goop.
She's a big pile of goop.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know why you hate Gwyneth Paltrow, but
She
whatever.
just seems so arrogant to me.
Okay. Well, let's move on. We got to be careful, man. Everyone's going to have a different name. Everyone's going to have no gender. Everyone's just going to be a goop, a mashup of goop.
I'm self-gendered.
Okay, that's what you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say that on TikTok.
Self-gendered.
Maybe
Yeah,
you
that
could be a
thing's- that'll go
self-gendered
nuts.
adult Indian man on TikTok, and that could blow up. There could be a market for that. Okay, next up. Chris Brown decided to do something a little different and a way to get some hype and make some money. That is, he decided to have a yard sale. Now, not only did he have a yard sale of his own stuff, but it was at his own house. So he had people lining up at his own house to have a yard sale.
Big ass house.
Big ass house. I mean, what in the world? Like, do you think this is just for fun? Do you think Chris Brown
I
needs
think
money?
So my first instinct is Chris Brown needs money.
I mean,
Then
that
I
would
just
have to
saw
be your first
he just
instinct.
did a basketball stadium tour, so he doesn't need money.
It's a publicity stunt.
It's a complete publicity stunt. I think he just back in town, and we saw him at Delilah. I saw him Saturday night at Delilah. Yeah.
Yep.
And I just think he wanted the attention, and he's just sitting around his house and was like, "Wouldn't it be funny if I had a yard sale?" And then it was on the news. Pop star Chris Brown invites everyone to his house.
I can't believe he's 30 now. I always imagine him as 22 to 24.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Well, he's acting 22. Like, guys, I got an idea. Let's have a fucking yard sale.
It's kind of funny.
It is funny, but like at your house, and then when your house gets robbed
Yeah,
for the
I
fourth
mean,
time,
I
you're
don't
going to be
think
like,
he thought about-
oh, leave me alone.
He did a conscious uncoupling of his stuff.
Yeah, he did.
He should have said, you know what? This isn't a sale.
This is a conscious,
conscious
uncoupling of all my Dior and Prada.
Conscious uncoupling of all the sins I've...
Committed in those clothes.
Yes.
People were saying like, oh, I spent $500. This stuff's worth like $3,000. I got some hot vintage. Like people were there.
People, I
flipping.
saw people posting. He
They're
has hot
stoked.
stuff.
You know what he should have done? This would have been the coolest thing ever.
Giving it away for free.
No. Well, yes. But he should have done a booth at Complex Con.
Oh my God, that
Chris
was cool.
Brown's stuff.
That would have been the hot. Yeah.
He was so close. Instead,
Yeah.
he went all these frickin' people at your house. Anyway, okay. Next up, we have some trouble in the family here, guys.
Uh-oh.
It's good we have all of our friends here. Mikey, I'm glad you're here for this because, you know, I like to be surrounded by family when family's in trouble. Chanel West Coast is being sued by none other than superstar Sharon Stone. Now, who would have thought, right? Talk
Yeah.
about made it. Like, you
Yeah.
might lose this. It might cost you quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
But at least one day you can say, you know what? Little old Chanel West Coast had a lawsuit with Sharon Stone. The reason why is because she has a song called Sharon Stoned. And in the video, she is recreating the famous Sharon Stone scene with the legs
Basic Instinct,
from
yeah.
Basic Instinct. She's dressed like Sharon Stone. Now, Chanel, I haven't talked to her, but claims Sharon Stone knew about it. Sharon Stone was going to be in the video, but backed out last minute. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows with Chanel? But this is a full-on lawsuit, very real.
I love
And-
it. I stand with Chanel West Coast.
Hey, we know Chanel well, and she's not one to bite her tongue. So if this stays in the
You'll be hearing
press-
about this. I got to call her. I feel like we could maybe get a good soundbite.
Well, here's the thing. Go
What's
ahead.
Sharon Stone all fired up about? That
She's because
Using
she
your
thinks
likeness and
her
blah, blah,
her
blah.
brand is being tarnished. When I saw it, I was like, no one has talked about Sharon Stone in years.
I know, exactly.
This is your shot.
But this is the... Yeah, I mean...
Sharon Stoned. It's a hot name for a record.
She should have just made a line, like make a CBD
Yes.
cannabis line.
If there was weed tomorrow at the store called Sharon Stoned, everyone would buy it.
Then Chanel would have to sue her. Yeah. Who's who here? I don't know.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
I think it's amazing.
All right, well, good for Chanel. I'll make sure I check in. Hopefully, I can at least get maybe we can get a speakerphone call. Maybe we can get her in here. I don't know. Her lawyer should be telling her not to talk, but I know she will be. Okay. Next up, we've been talking a lot about screen time, social media. Mikey, you briefly just mentioned you don't let your daughters on the phones and TikTok and all that stuff. Turns out China is stepping in and trying to get some regulation going for their young gamers. They're setting some sort of guidelines or rules for how much you can game. I'm guessing the main reason why is because they want them to get back to work, because these 12-year-olds probably have jobs. But what's going on? Are they ahead of us again?
So they are coming out with like essentially a curfew that younger, underage gamers under the age of 18 cannot play video games between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. and they're not permitted to play more than 90 minutes on weekdays and 3 hours on weekends and holidays.
How do they regulate it?
I think people in China are so afraid. Yeah. They just say, you're going to do this, and we're going to come in your house, and if we see your punk-ass kid play 98 minutes...
The amount of data they have on their population, this is so easily for them to
Could they
regulate.
call and be like, hey, we've seen...
No, they'll just literally have cops show up to your door.
And arrest your 8-year-old.
Or the parents get arrested, or it's your social score and you can't buy a train ticket or a plane ticket. You can't go to a restaurant.
Young G.
These are...
Young G's playing 120 minutes a day.
About it,
He's locked up.
Parents should be the ones implementing these rules on their kids. Yeah. So the government's like, we know this is bad for our youth. Yeah. We're not letting the parents screw our youth if they don't actually enforce what's normal. The government's
we'll chop your head off if you don't.
I mean,
I'm going to be honest. I don't want anyone's head chopped off, but like, kind of a fan of this.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like this is another reason why China's going to kick our ass.
90 minutes a day, that's still a lot.
So is it the idea that you like? Like, I like the idea of limiting our kids.
Yep.
Right? What I don't like is somebody telling us that you have to.
Big time.
But that's China.
So I
know it's China. I know. But that's the only reason why I think like...
This is always my biggest comparison. We will get pulled over and get a ticket if we don't wear a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Because they have decided that is worth getting rid of the harm, and we have to be punished to stay in line and do it. Mm. I don't know that I'm totally against punishing people for letting your kids sit and chug Mountain Dew and be on social media.
2 Big Macs a day, 3 hours of video games, and 2 Juul Pods.
I just think in the end, when you're trying to build a successful... I sound like a dictator. When you're trying to build a successful
dictator's a hot vibe.
Population,
I support you.
And people aren't going to police themselves. Like, we don't let you buy alcohol at a certain age. We make you wear seatbelts is the easiest thing because it's like, who gives a fuck? Let people not wear seatbelts.
Yeah.
We have to police it because people will die because they'll just drive around crazy without their seatbelt on. Why not police that people aren't just becoming fat, depressed slobs because they're on social media all day long?
It's not a bad analogy.
It's really not. I think it's where it heads.
Well, right? There it's already headed.
It's already
gone.
There, I get it. I should say this. For China, this makes total sense.
Yeah.
This is on brand.
This makes total sense.
It's on brand.
This is totally on brand.
I'm just saying, I'm surprised.
But, the fact that they're...
Because in today's world...
the idea of it is correct as far as like possibly limiting screen time, right?
Yep.
It's just how we do it. I think like, do we need like parents to step up here? Totally.
Yeah, but here's the problem is we do that in America, and the parents don't step up.
No, I get it.
Think about the way that your kid's car seat has to be. There's legal ways that your kid has to travel in a car, whatever it is.
But you can shove all the Big Macs you want up your kid's face.
I get you. I'm in agreement with you there. It's a little backwards at times,
and
right?
the problem is the harm that being on Instagram 12 hours a day for the average 14-year-old is probably doing more harm than the chance.
A couple car wrecks here and there.
No, but
the Big Macs, maybe.
Yeah, I get it. I agree.
It's a different type of harm that I don't think people fully understand yet because it's still relatively new.
Yeah, I agree.
It's only the last decade where all these services have taken off.
And so what I'm saying is, I think people do know. Like, I think China knows, and that's why they're enforcing.
Of course.
This. I think the people making these apps, doing these early studies, are like, ooh, this is really bad. Here, we just don't give a shit. We put out a couple like self-help books about how you should stop. But like they're like,
China's going to ban TikTok. We're going to sit there getting fat on TikTok.
Yeah.
China owns it right now, don't they?
Yeah.
They're just going to kill our supply.
But that's why
man, guys.
Yeah. That's why I have a weird, I'm not sure how I feel about this. But I'm not totally against it. One day, when our kids all work for China, we're going to be like, damn, we should have banned social media. Okay. Let's move into technology business news. It looks like we've got some Saudi spies in this country, and they've been busted.
Snakes.
So thankfully, these snakes have been busted. They've been leaking, I guess what you would consider classified or privileged information to the Saudis for pay.
Freaking traitors.
And they've been arrested, and that's a very serious offense. Now,
Lock 'em up.
here's the big thing that you might not expect. These people weren't military people. They weren't CIA. They were Twitter employees.
Yeah.
What happened?
You know what happened is governments are getting smart. You know, back in the days, Anand and I were talking about this, the spies were typically people that worked at government agencies. Today, who has more information? A government
That's such a good
agency
point.
or
Mark Zuckerberg has it all.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you can infiltrate Facebook,
Yeah.
You know how many
Amazon-
spies are on Facebook?
there's more
Amazon,
information
such
on
a good point.
Facebook than the
That's
CIA.
such a good point.
Yeah.
Think about what Google Home has.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazon.
You're like, Alexa, Alexa, Alexa.
It's interesting that this is the new form of espionage.
Yeah,
So
very good.
infiltrating like technology companies that have a monopoly of on our information and information on their citizens.
Yeah.
Um,
They should hack 23andMe. Find out everything about this.
Yeah,
country.
there's so many lawsuits about that.
so yeah, I mean it's sort of like spying isn't the James Bond, flying through an aircraft, jumping up, parachuting into a
bummer.
building.
Why? It's
It's
even
like, hey,
Some
get 3
dude at
guys at Twitter.
in a
Well, the
cubicle.
problem is we're willingly sharing all of our information.
Yeah.
So the guy at Twitter's like, yeah, this will take me about, 4 minutes?
Yeah.
What do you want?
And so what happened? Like obviously we don't know the details,
Yeah.
but they reached out looking for information. Then these Twitter employees
So
gave it up.
They
Yeah.
paid the 3 Twitter employees that we know of. The Saudi government did, and they said, "Give us information on users that dissent against the government that live in Saudi Arabia."
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Here you go," and they probably got paid handsomely for it.
Damn.
And they only caught 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To have to believe
And the
this.
thing is, like, this is like a known thing. This is not like secret. At all of these companies, Twitter, Facebook, Uber, Bird, there's God mode. It's not. You don't have to be that senior to get information on the whole platform.
What would you do
Okay.
with God mode at Bird?
You could
Where's
Just shut
Anand
off
having a
rides.
snack at 2:30 in the morning,
Yeah,
screwing
yeah.
up to
no, but the point is the information for sure. But no, you could track someone's whole day and predict where
So
they're
what
going
you're
to be.
saying is like, why did these 3 think they'd be able to get away with it?
No, my point is you don't have to go too senior
Oh, to get information. Yeah, I
so if
agree.
you pay like a mid-tier guy, here's
Yeah, I'm with you.
$100,000.
Yeah.
That's probably his salary. Like, sure, yeah, I'll tell you where what.
Because the point is, we know that like you'd be shocked to know what level of employee has access to all of your Uber information. It's not locked in a
Yeah,
vault
I'm with
protected
you.
by,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
And
It's
think
like-
about it. Even if for like Uber, perfect example.
Yeah.
You can be like, wait, he's married. Where's he going at 3 a.m?
Yeah.
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 Like think about that.
So easily.
Easily.
But I mean, think
Uber is
about
one of the
Google.
most important things you can
Yeah.
get.
So I mean, you can predict where someone's going to be. It's very, if you really think about it,
Yeah.
just knowing someone's Uber patterns,
Yeah.
you can tell a lot about someone.
But when you get into thinking about how easy it is to flip high level,
Yeah, oh, here's 500 grand. Give me about these Saudis. Okay, here you go.
and we're not even talking about violence. We're not talking like that's probably like a basic reach out. Here's a price. Sure, I got
It's a
you.
DM.
dude. Yeah.
Like if Taylor had some good information, he'd sell
No,
some
he's
people
probably selling
down there.
whatever he's got right now. That's why he left early.
He goes, this guy bought 14 socks. You know what he is? He's cold.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I guess whatever. We got to be careful, but
Yeah.
nothing's going to change. Let's talk about Travis Kalanick.
Someone who doesn't give a shit what Saudis think.
Someone who doesn't give a shit about the morals of where his money's coming from. Travis Kalanick, one of the original founders of Uber, and really the man responsible for making it what it was.
Yeah.
The absolute shark behind it, who then stepped down because sort of the press got so bad, and there was videos of him yelling at Uber drivers drunk. And
The
you know,
board forced him out too, yes.
he's a bit of a
Loose
loose cannon, but really smart guy. He has started a new business, and he has raised $400 million from the good old Saudis.
Yeah.
So what's he working on? What do we got? What is the Saudis and Travis cooking up?
This is amazing because he's just cut from a different cloth. He doesn't give 2 fucks about anything but making sure his business succeeds.
Yeah.
So if you're an investor, you probably like that because this guy's going to do whatever at all costs to make sure he wins.
Yeah.
His business clearly needs money. My guess is I know he self-funded the first 100 million.
150 million.
150 million. I'm sure when that Uber stock got cut in half, he was like, I'm done funding this thing. So he went and got to his old buddies, the Saudis, and got a big check for his cloud kitchen business, which is essentially it's a virtual restaurant. So like you want to launch a pizza concept that's only available on delivery platforms, and people believe that this will be a big part of the food business in the future is cloud kitchens. So sure, maybe you could say...
And it's a real estate place, so the way to think about it, I'm just making up numbers, a warehouse in Koreatown, which is in the central part of Los Angeles, close to Hollywood, downtown, Beverly Hills.
Yep.
Let's say it gets $10,000 of rent, okay? If you make it a cloud kitchen and you're able to put 15 stations, charge each $2K a month for them to rent their little restaurant, that's $30K, so now the building's worth way more because you're getting $30,000 worth of income versus 10. That's the larger play. He's just doing it via food because the whole world needs to eat. So food is the vehicle to make this real estate company.
He is buying the real estate.
Yeah.
So he's not making the WeWork.
Yeah, the problem is that there's one layer of the business, which is the actual delivery portion, that no one makes money on. And once those prices get raised, like Domino's has figured out how to efficiently deliver people food and make money. Mm-hmm. There are a handful of other people that do it at scale extremely well. Everyone else has not figured it out. So he's only figuring out one part of it because the actual delivery of the food, like if Postmates was $10 delivery fee, but it's done. Like no one's paying it to get food delivered unless it's a $100 order. Yep. So I don't really believe in the business. I just think it's funny that he just went to Saudi Arabia and
but
got
I also
$400
think
million.
that's just like perception because no one was afraid to take SoftBank's money, which is the majority of the Saudi government. People were taking SoftBank money as long as they're willing to give it. Right now, people are willing to take SoftBank money.
Of course.
It's just like optics, and Travis is like, I don't care about optics. It's just other people care about it when it's like, perception, even though they're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I actually don't have a problem with it.
And I also don't think anyone else would have given him that kind of money. Who else has that kind of money to give him? Well, he just lost a lot of money in his last company. They lost, $6 billion in his last...
I don't know what the exact number, but
yeah. But he has not been a good CEO for SoftBank.
Yeah. Mikey, was there something we missed?
Yeah, no, I was actually going to ask you something. This isn't about the Saudi money, but do you think that model's changing where, like, there were these huge raises to these huge exits, and now you saw, like, the whole WeWork fiasco. Do you think there's going to start becoming less big exits and this race to selling goes away? Like it sounds like this new strategy as of his?
No, I think there will still be mega exits and mega deals will continue to happen. I just also think it'll be businesses that are fundamentally more sound than the ones we just saw.
So you actually have to create like a somewhat sustainable business.
Yeah, and I think those businesses will be rewarded even more.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it in the public market. Like no one's being rewarded more than Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because at scale, they're the most profitable companies in like fucking world history.
Yeah.
There's unbelievably well-ran companies. So there is a belief that you can make enormous amount of money at scale and be very profitable. The problem is there's so much cash still sitting out and that needs to be invested. It may go redirected back into the public markets instead of this whole private equity scene that's really emerged aggressively in the last 10 years. But right now I'm sure everyone is scared deploying cash in any business because especially at the valuations that people were used to raising at, it's just changed.
Yeah.
And investors usually get protected. They'll screw everyone else, but they'll get protected. Like I bet you, like the cloud kitchen situation, Saudi's putting $400 million. If the company sells for $500 million,
their first money,
they'll get their first 400 out, and then everyone else will get screwed.
Yeah.
So it's like they raise it all the way to gets to the public market. The people who bought that get screwed. But
Yeah.
Because this is already assuming this is a multi-billion-dollar business, and I don't know anyone that uses it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay. All right, moving on. There's a headline for a New York Times article that seems interesting. Mm-hmm. It says, I was the fastest girl in the United States until I joined Nike.
Yeah.
Now, I would always expect, my perception of Nike is that article would say, I was the fastest girl in the United States since I joined Nike.
And they gave me great PEDs.
Shoes, PEDs, Mark Parker.
Yeah.
And life has been great. What happened to this poor girl?
there's some fucked up things happening at Nike.
That's wild.
And this girl, when she was 17 years old, was the fastest runner in America. She was like all-American, straight A student, gets a call from Alberto Salazar, who's in the middle of all this PED controversy, and said, I want you to come here. I'm going to make you get ready for the Olympics and be the greatest runner ever. Because he had said, you're the greatest runner I've ever seen. So she gets excited. She moves to Oregon, part of the Oregon Project. They tell her she needs to lose weight. They tell her she needs to get on birth control. She needs to do this. She's just kind of ruthless way of coaching. And as a young woman, it damaged her body, which then hurt her speed times. She ended up becoming a bad runner. She ended up becoming a cutter, tried to kill herself. Finally told her parents. Parents said, get the hell out of there. Went home. And she's kind of sat quiet. And now that Salazar is, probably going to go to jail, Mark Parker stepping down, she's like, Nike is screwed up. It's run by a bunch of men that don't understand women's bodies.
This is Nike training, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Not Nike corporate.
But,
it's one of the same.
thing,
You allow
right?
it. You're the CEO. Mark Parker, who effectively has built this monstrosity of a apparel footwear business, stepped down for no goddamn reason because there's so much dirt in this company that has not come out yet.
But I also don't think this is any different. Like, I obviously feel bad for her. Her life really took a bad turn because she was in a intense training program that didn't work for her. How is this any different than a college football player that went to Alabama and was told play injured, play with concussions,
Yes.
we don't care? It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same problem.
And that's going on in all extreme. That goes on at the highest level of athletics across all sports, pro sports, college sports, anywhere where there's an incentive to make money, they will make sure the athletes play. Like, look at what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. Everyone, he claimed he had a knee issue, and people say he's faking it because he had rest. It's a national story, and saying you're costing ESPN money. We paid billions of dollars for you to play Giannis, and now that's like the biggest story. So it's happening everywhere. I don't think this is unique to Nike training.
So I don't think, knowing what a lot of people know, I don't think it's unique at all. I think the reason why it looks so bad and the reason why it's going to get a lot of press is because it's for a company. It's directly for a business.
Yeah.
When Alabama does it,
which is a
don't
nonprofit.
think money.
Alabama is a nonprofit.
But the point is, either way, take it. If the Clippers do it, if anyone does it, people don't think money. They think, well, yeah, they're a team and they want him to win, and so blah blah blah. I'm not talking about reality. I'm talking about perception. When Nike does it, it's like, wow, is this some sort of weird slave labor? Like, what is this? Because at the end of the day, you're doing all of this to sell shoes. It doesn't
the
look
optics
good.
of it look bad. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're going to get fucked on the optics.
And it's a young woman, 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I think, and Mark Parker abruptly leaving is just so shady.
Yeah. There was never any real explanation.
No.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's not going to do well in the press.
No.
You know
I think there's an enormous opportunity for a brand, though, to pick her up as a face of a running shoe brand.
Yeah.
And to really say, you know what? We're here for empowerment.
Yeah.
And she also made some really smart comments about, like, it's all men at the top, and when it comes to the women's side of athletics, it's just different.
Yeah.
And you need to have women in leadership that understand and are sympathetic to women athletes. I'm sure 40-50% of their business is women. You should probably care about it.
Yeah.
It's just not a good time to have a young woman saying she was tortured by a corporate company.
Yes.
Nah, those things don't line up well.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we talked earlier in the week about how Juul's most popular flavor was the mint.
Yep.
Talked all about it. Pete gave his input. He sort of, started salivating. He's like, I would die for a mint Juul pod right now. Got real excited. Turns out, now, just a few days later, the news story is Juul has halted the sales of the mint flavor. Is that Juul's doing that on their own?
No, the Trump administration is about to ban mint-flavored e-cigarettes.
So they got out ahead of it?
Yeah.
And that's a significant portion of their sales?
70%.
What's wrong with the mint? Catch me up.
There's
nothing wrong with it. It's too popular.
Yeah.
It's too hot.
Stop it.
Because it's young people. They're saying that it's enticing. The flavors entice. Remember, like, well, this was before our time, but like cigarettes, they sort of banned any like fruity language or making Joe the Camel look too cool.
Yeah.
Like you just can't
He was
market to kids.
Yeah.
So like if you're selling like shitty tobacco flavored Juuls, not that big of a deal. But when you start to get into mango and minty and like it's a cool teal color and that's just what they.
Anand had a great idea. He said in a group chat today. He said Juul should start selling cigarettes.
Just go back to old-fashioned cigarettes.
I
Just call it a Juul pack.
Yeah,
I think if Juul launched cigarettes, everyone who smokes Juul pods would
Like if
try.
you're a young person, would you rather have a Juul cigarette pack or a Marlboro?
Oh, yeah,
I'd rather have Juul.
for sure.
And make
Just
it
make it a
like
fancy package.
that. Make it like that black case, real slick. Put like 2 cigarettes in.
Micro cigarette.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Microdosing. Who's their Altria as their investor?
Yeah.
Oh, they just need to flip that switch.
Yeah.
Pivot. We were talking about pivots earlier. Skateboarding and real estate.
there we go.
Altria, Juul needs a pivot.
That's
Juul
good.
needs to take a lesson from Mike.
And then like they have like rat poison flavor. It's a little scary rat.
Yeah, cancer. Okay, well, listen. If you're Juuling, be careful. I just don't get how all these other companies are still flying under the radar and making, like these puff bars are literally,
They're just too small.
yeah. Good for them. It's a good
Juul's
time
the only
to be
one at scale, which is the reason why they're under so much scrutiny.
Okay. All right, well, this is a good time to put a couple ads. So if we got any ads, run them here. And we're back to news. Let's talk about all things politics, world news. Let's talk about frickin' Bill Gates, man. I became a massive Bill Gates fan after that Netflix documentary. Did you watch that, Mikey?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's so
you'll love it.
good.
Okay. That's my
Inside
next
the Mind
go-to.
of Bill Gates on Netflix. Incredible.
Okay.
Became a big fan. Never really seen good old Bill in that sort of light before or like that much content around Bill. Turns out, in something that I don't think I totally agree with, Bill's very concerned over Elizabeth Warren's tax plan, which I have no say on that, to be honest. But he will not say who he's planning to vote for in 2020, which makes me believe he's a little Trumpish.
You think so? I
I'm
would
just
never
saying.
think that.
I think leading up to 2020, if you're not saying who you're voting for Trump.
Because
you
You're
think
not
so?
voting.
I'll tell you why. There was a Fox News poll. This is on Fox News that came out this week that said 49% of Fox News viewers think impeachment is okay of Trump.
How many?
49% of Fox News viewers.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's wild. That means like his own crew is like, this guy's might be a little dirty.
They're over it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Don't you think if you're not saying that you're...
No,
I don't actually. I
Why?
think like, okay, this is what I think. I think the Democratic Party right now is you have Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders that are making so much headway on like a media level. Then you have Joe Biden, who you would argue was the staple of, or I won't say staple, the older way to look or resonate with the Democrats. And I think a lot of people are waiting to see which one ends up becoming the leader before they stand with them, is what I think.
Yeah.
I don't see someone like Bill Gates voting for Trump. I just don't see it.
No, I don't either. And I think he's actually being...
Obama's being quiet right now.
Yeah,
Obama's not even
Bill
getting
Gates,
behind
I didn't
somebody.
see Bill Gates flying with Jeffrey Epstein either, but he did it.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is being, I
he?
think, responsible.
Lots of times.
And he even admitted on this interview with New York Times, it was a conference, that I made a mistake. I should never have associated.
Yeah, I think he's being responsible because if he just says like, definitely not voting for Trump, that becomes the headline for the next week. And Bill Gates is trying to keep it more to the substance of what he was talking about rather than if he says he's anti-Trump, no one's going to even care what else you say after that.
Yeah.
So you're Bill Gates.
Yep.
Would
I
you
wish.
vote for a Bernie or a Warren?
Oh, I think...
I think there's no chance.
Yeah, I don't know.
And this is a guy who's given
I
away...
might vote for Trump. I don't know. I'm the one doing the podcast.
Okay,
He's the
fine,
one
fine,
being
fair
Bill
enough.
But
Gates.
Bill Gates is also the guy that's going to give away like 80-90% of his wealth
Yeah.
to philanthropy. So talking about and he even says like, sure, you tax me more, but if you were Bill Gates, would you rather have the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation allocate the 80-90 billion, which is what he's going to do,
Yeah.
or give it to our so successfully operated Congress
Yeah.
to decide what to do with this 80-90
That's why the
billion?
biggest thing that I don't understand is why don't Bill Gates and 8 other well-known billionaires get together and create a tax plan that Elizabeth Warren can say she got from them. That's
I think because they don't trust government to do it.
Yeah, that's
what's he saying? No one. I mean, look
to
at think about
actually
all.
put it into place. You mean like they would run?
They're
on
the
it
ones
and then not
operating
do
it. It's like think you're investing into somebody at this point, right?
Yeah.
There's not that many government systems that are operating that awesome.
Yeah. Did you see how much money the MTA in New York City is in deficit? Like $49 billion.
Yeah.
But don't you think that like if I don't know, maybe this is me being too utopian here, but like don't you think if
You're like Bill Gates and all these guys need to create a new government?
But
They'll
no,
fund
I'm just
it.
saying, like, if they got together and said, this is our tax plan, Elizabeth Warren said, you know what, I agree, this will work, I'm running on this. And then she runs on that, they support her. That's kind of the trade-off. And then she gets in and puts it into play. And
But then
everyone
she
votes
gets
on it.
into government, it all stalls.
I think no one. I think it's
Everyone
stalls.
knows
I
it's
think
going to
there's
stall.
trust
I think we
Nothing
should-
gets done.
We should give it to the Chinese government.
Here we
They
go.
are efficient.
President
Give it to
Xi.
ByteDance.
Yeah.
TikTok will handle it. Or Chinese, because they're the just general, the Chinese public isn't on their phones and,
Playing video games.
Yes, whatever. Let them deal with it. I get it. That just seems like an age-old, that seems like a jam up that there's no way to solve other than, I know we've talked about it, but pure revolution rioting in the streets.
I've said there's likely going to be a civil war in our lifetime.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I actually totally think so. I think it's sooner than later.
Yeah.
You get a couple of those multi-family units and bunker down.
Guys, get an army out front.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure every billionaire on earth has a safe room. Safe house.
Safe
they-
island, huh?
Yeah, they all buy. If you're really rich, you buy in these like private islands.
Yeah.
We can
But
start a
not
group
even
chat
just
army.
in their house, they have space.
I got
Okay.
an idea. Group chat army. General is Pete.
Yeah.
He trains our soldiers.
Yeah.
Anyone with hand-to-hand combat skill or a good use in firearms.
I don't trust Taylor. He's fleeing
No,
the first
Taylor's
sign
on
of
the front
danger.
line.
Taylor is out of here. He's like, they're over there. Go around the back. There's a door open.
He's like Tariq.
He's big time Tariq. He's Tariq of the group. Okay.
It's fascinating nonetheless.
Yeah, it's wild. It just seems like such a jam up. Okay, how about this one? So Donald Trump, we talked about, he went to the Nationals game, got booed publicly, not a good look. Went to UFC in New York, thought maybe he'd be safe there, got booed, not a good look. This Saturday, he is going to the Alabama game. I'm guessing if there's anywhere in the country that he won't get booed, it's there. But it turns out that the president of student affairs at Alabama is sort of trying to make sure that that's the case and implying that you'll be punished for causing a ruckus at the game.
Yeah.
Because he can't technically say you are not allowed to make
But-
this noise. What do you think? I guess you got to get out ahead of it. And if you're this guy, you got to be like, hey guys, calm the fuck down.
It's tough.
What do you do?
So
this guy's probably
I'm sure there's a lot of Trumpy big Alabama donors that are hosting him, and they're so stoked to have the president there. This guy who's running the student affairs, he's obviously MAGA as shit.
And don't put it past. I mean, if the Trump administration openly admitted to forcing the Ukrainian government to investigate a political opponent, do you think they're not going to Alabama and say you better not boo him?
Yeah.
Give me a
big
break.
time.
And
Like
we
we'll
got
cut off funding
inside
from
source.
Alabama. We'll cut off funding for Alabama's not going to get their state subsidies.
Yeah.
Like the roads aren't going to be fixed.
I mean, I'm sure even if the Trump White House isn't, all of those donors are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Think
yeah.
about old,
I think the
Bobby
donors.
Pickens.
I see the donors playing the biggest influence over anybody.
Oh yeah, and then we hear today that someone that's attending the game who has a friend in a sorority
Yep.
that said the sorority sent out a message saying if you partake in what
in booing, you get kicked out of the sorority.
Because sororities can do that.
Sororities can do it.
He might get.
What's
cheered.
MAGA in Greek letters?
Oh my God.
So we're going to have a.
We should make that sweatshirt. Get one of those Alabama sorority girls.
So we're going to have live footage because Harrison from our
play.
office is
Yep.
going to be at the game,
Yep.
and he's going to send us live what's going on. Pete's going to post it.
I need Harrison in a red hat.
Do you think he's not?
I mean, Harrison will be like this, holding the phone, covering his mouth.
USA.
You're gonna hear him in the background. Oh man. Okay. Well,
I can't wait for this game. This is blockbuster.
What I love too, I love the idea of them like silencing all the kids, and then Trump being like, "They loved me.
Yeah.
They loved me in Alabama. Nothing but cheers. Didn't hear one single boo." Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Okay, how about this? We talk about China a lot. Here's a case of the United States and China working very, very well together. It turns out that there was this fentanyl trafficker. So all of the, I believe all, or at least most, of the fentanyl in the United States comes from China. Turns out the United States got wind of a big fentanyl trafficker, tipped off the Chinese government. They scooped him up, and they have sentenced him to death.
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah. I love it.
Big death guy, huh?
Here's the thing. Let me tell you, now you're a young entrepreneur in China peddling weed. You're like, you know what's a big business? Fentanyl in the USA.
Yeah.
You know what? You're like, well, homie just got killed. So maybe I shouldn't be selling opioids to America.
True. I mean, think about it, man. They got
You're
us
not
over
playing
here.
video games, and
That's
you're
what
not
I'm
selling
saying.
opioids.
Think about it. They're keeping their kids off their phones. We're over here soaking in social media and video games, and they're shoving fentanyl down our throats. We have no chance.
Yeah.
Us against China, long term, is not looking good.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of you are expressing opinions of like what Trump thinks. Like, if we could just run a country like China, Russia, and just control our citizens, we'll
Find
be all good.
people.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
So
just
you
tricked
too,
us.
MAGA.
Yeah.
Just put
Listen,
the hat
I'm
on,
just
right?
saying, just saying, if you send us your fentanyl, off with his head.
Yeah.
Come on, we're dealing with enough problems over here.
I mean, it's pretty nuts that here's a problem. I agree in the sense that we just have given up on regulating so many things. Financial crimes. We're like, okay, you can take advantage of our system as much as you want. There's no punishment for anybody. Okay.
No, unless you're not. If you're not that important, you go to jail.
Okay, that's like a schmuck insider trader that one made 30 grand. He goes to jail.
Yeah.
But anyone big, no one goes to jail.
Yeah.
So we have no financial crimes. This is actually killing our people.
Yeah.
I think we have to be stricter on that.
Purdue Pharma guys are they going to jail?
No, they
just go bankrupt.
bankrupt, and they get settling for like 4 or 5 billion. They made 10.
But we didn't even do anything here. China just did us a solid.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about the whole NBA thing. We'll chop this guy's head off. You know what I'm saying? And there's a whole conspiracy theory. I'm not saying I buy this one, but
I like it. I like
China
the conspiracy.
sends the fentanyl here as they do that on purpose to.
Like these idiots will keep taking him.
Yeah, because it seems like just about all of the like opioid overdoses and real stuff comes from fentanyl being mixed in. And they're sending it all to us. So
I like that.
Yeah.
They're sending you TikTok dancing and opioids.
you want to talk about numbing? Like we have, there's all the conspiracy theorists that are like the government's trying to numb us. China is successfully doing
Yeah,
it.
we're all dancing on opioids all day. Hey!
Yeah, that's all China. Okay, well, either way, we got one victory. So thanks, China. You know what I mean? Wait, is there any update on NBA? Is it now
It's
kind of
all done.
It's all
No
done.
one's allowed to talk about it anymore.
You don't talk about it. You shut up and dribble.
they shut up and dribble?
How quick was that? 3 weeks?
I don't even think it was 3 weeks.
No, I'm saying since the incident. It's probably like 2-3 weeks max.
Not one.
One reporter will even ask a question now.
Okay. All right.
This is the one time we behave like China because China enforces our money on this topic.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Think about that. Idiots.
They're like, no, we're going to give them opioids, we're going to make them dance, and we're going to tell them who can play basketball and who can't.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think whoever the Chinese representative came over and told the NBA, all the networks have 1 day to talk about this, which they did. Like TNT on opening night spent about 5 minutes on China.
Yeah.
ESPN did about half a day on China, and then they're done after that.
Yeah. China's controlling America on everything.
Yeah. They own all our currency too.
And they have all our debt.
Okay, on this week's episode, we are headed straight for a civil war, and China is ruling us.
And we have the most famous Chinese person.
Oh my gosh. And Mikey
This is dark.
all-
This is a
Mikey
dark
Jing.
episode.
Yeah, I heard Mikey has special Chinese relationships, and that's why his TikTok's blowing up. Okay, you guys ready to get into our final one and only segment of the week? Mm-hmm. Winners, losers content.
Yep.
Dee, who is the biggest winner of the last week?
My biggest winner is Disney.
Why?
They reported their earnings today and record revenue, record profits. And, when in the past, however many years I've been following Disney, a lot of their success and failures was based on obviously film and television, animation, all that stuff. But a lot of it has to do with their theme parks. I'm like, there was a soft winter and attendance is down. Attendance seems to be still struggling at their theme parks. But Disney to me is like the model old age company that has like modernized and figured out how to be this like behemoth entertainment media company. And they're about to launch streaming, and I feel like it's going to be the most successful streaming platform for the next 10 years. And to me, they're a $250 billion company today. They're on their way to be a $1 trillion business, in my opinion. They're going to be like an Apple. And like, people kind of forgot about Disney. Like we forgot what they did, and whatever Bob Iger has done has obviously clearly worked. And I just think they're just in the early days of like transforming themselves into this new entity, new media, the model media company.
Yeah. Bob Iger talks about in his book that had Steve Jobs still been alive, there's a chance that the two companies could have joined.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been scary.
That's some antitrust issues.
Yeah, you think? Okay, good. I'm all for it, especially fresh off the Bob Iger book. Did you read the Bob Iger book?
No.
Incredible.
I got 2 takeaways.
It's really good.
The mind of Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anand, winner of the week.
Hopefully America, because Bloomberg has decided to run for president under the Democratic Party.
You're a big Bloomberg guy, huh?
Yeah, huge.
Why?
I think he's the only one that is actually sound from an economic standpoint of all the candidates.
Yep.
And is moderate when it comes to his views, and he's somewhat liberal socially, and he's by far the most qualified of the candidates. My fear is that he doesn't have the rah-rah to compete. Like, is he willing to go toe-to-toe with Trump and call him names? And
I think he just has to call him broke because he's way richer.
Yeah, Bloomberg's worth like $20 billion.
So wait, hang on. Did Bloomberg, is he going to run?
That's what
Or
they're
we're
saying.
okay.
They're saying that he's getting ready to file in a Democratic Party.
If he just keeps saying,
Isn't
shut
this-
up, you're broke.
Isn't
Shut up,
this
you're broke.
Isn't this a little late or not? Doesn't matter.
I think the way information's disseminated, it doesn't matter because, like, back in the day when you only had like a few channels to get your name out, it would be really tough to come in this late. But now it's social media.
Right. We heard about Lil Nas X one day, and the next day he was the
Like, look
biggest
how
artist
big
for them.
AOC got.
Yeah.
Was that 2 months?
Yeah.
Okay. Mikey, do you have a winner?
No, I'm not plugged in like you guys on this week.
That's okay. No pressure.
This week was That's
okay.
My life this week wasn't very exciting.
All losers.
Yeah, all losers for me.
My winner, this is an easy one, but my winner is just Popeyes because this whole week was dominated by the story, unfortunately, of all the fights and this guy getting stabbed to death and whatever. And I'm sure they didn't plan that, and I'm sure they don't want to celebrate death, but they said that they're not going to take the sandwich away.
Of course not.
And they got this like huge moment from beefing with Chick-fil-A on Twitter. Now they have this another huge moment. It's just like for a shitty sandwich.
Yeah.
The fact that you have this much
Yeah.
press is just mind-blowing.
And
man.
it's coming out that the stabbing was actually 2 people that know each other, and the guy like had it coming.
Oh, it was just like a.
It just so happened it
time
happened.
and place.
So there you go. And all that, so that would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
But instead, all that press went to Popeyes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, who's your loser, D?
My loser of the week is me.
Wow.
I came up with the Black Friday idea.
Okay.
I didn't actually come up with it. Someone in our office came up with this Black Friday idea.
Okay.
And they were like, I loved it. And they wanted to call it Brown Friday.
Okay.
Okay?
I see some issues.
I loved it.
Okay.
I thought that's great. It's going to get everyone's attention because everyone's like, what's Brown Friday?
Yep.
Staff seems to feel like it's too sensitive. I'm confused, and I'm being honest. Who is it offending?
Who's it offending?
Yes, Brown Friday. I am a brown person. I'm a disenfranchised
But what's the
group
message?
of people. I just want to get people's attention for Black Friday.
But
So it's like brown face.
Yes, I'm brown.
Okay.
what's the tie-in though? It's just you just call yours Brown Friday.
Yeah,
Because
the
it's
sale
a
is Brown
brown
Friday.
CEO?
Is it
Yes.
because you have a brown CEO?
Yeah, it's because I'm brown. And it
It's
got
like
a
a
lot of-
President G move.
And so you're the loser because you don't get it?
I don't get why we can't do it because everyone seems
Oh,
to
so you
say
got
no.
blocked. You're a loser because you succumbed to your staff.
Yes,
You're a loser.
Oh, you're a loser because you. Oh,
I
yes.
agree. You're a loser.
but is it
I
offensive?
mean, either way, I agree with the.
But is it offensive?
I just don't know
Who
if
is
it
it- who is
resonates.
it
I know.
offending?
I technically.
Is it?
If being single is offensive, I think brown
Yeah, we live in an
face
era.
or,
Exactly.
or
We
brown
live in an
Friday is
era where
offensive.
being
Yeah.
single.
But
is
if you
offensive.
saw Happy Brown Friday, you would be like, What is Brown Friday? You'd click on
Wait,
it.
actually, you know what? Wait, hang on. That actually didn't sound that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Brown Friday doesn't sound negative.
But I don't know if it's going to convert sales.
But
It'll
what if
get you
black people?
clicks.
What if black people were offended? Like, hey, technically.
Oh, this
my
year
skin is
black
brown.
people are definitely going to be offended by Black Friday. You
Hey,
don't
let me
think
ask
there's
you
going to
something.
be a
Black Friday
woke
hasn't been canceled.
It will be.
But I was
2019
just trying to think. I was
prediction.
going to make the comparison. If you were a gay CEO and you called it Gay Friday,
You're,
no, I don't think people. They'd be like, oh, whatever. He's like a proud gay dude.
I'm a proud brown person.
Yeah, I'm jammed up here, but I do.
I
Agree
don't
you're a
understand.
loser, but I'm jammed
Everyone
up.
thinks there's something wrong with it, but no one can tell me.
I think
It's
maybe
just the climate.
that
I'm not
there's-
convinced.
There's a lot of different types of brown people, and you don't get to
Represent
speak
them.
for all of them.
That's fucking ridiculous.
As a white guy,
As a white guy, you white privilege, shut the fuck up.
let me tell you about what you're allowed to do. As one of the two white guys on the pod today, let me step in here.
Let me tell you, you are offending brown people as a white man.
Let me tell you what's allowed to offend you and not.
I'm kind of supporting it.
Thank you.
Actually,
you're a
seriously.
racist.
I think simply for I think simply for the press that you could potentially get, you could get a Washington Post article.
Yeah. Did this
CEO.
guy actually offend?
Go
who?
for it.
Who did this guy offend?
I say do it.
I want to do a poll. Which I want to break down every groups of people. It could be gay, transgender, Mexican, black,
Self-partnered.
white, and say, tell me who's offended. Because I want to know exactly who's offended.
I say you do it. Who was offended in your office?
I wasn't in the meeting. I didn't show up to it.
I bet it was white people. I bet white people were just scared.
What, Pete was in it, right?
No, well, yes.
Okay.
was it?
What,
I didn't vote for
what color were the people that were offended?
It was a mix. On a different ethnicity.
This is interesting.
Yeah,
That's good.
I was like, first I was mad, then I was just confused.
I was laughing.
I think you should do it. Oh, were you, Pete?
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Brown Friday?
Yeah, white boy.
Really, white boy? Okay. All right, good. That's a good one. Anand, who's your loser?
My loser of the week are Silicon Valley talking heads, and I'll tell you why.
Please do.
So there was a deck that was leaked yesterday about SoftBank.
Okay.
So they're pitching investors, and they have this like 90 page, 90 slide deck.
Is that the Vision Fund?
Yes.
Okay.
And they talk about WeWork, and they have these like basic slides like revenue, gross margin is down, EBITDA is down. If gross margin goes up and OpEx goes down, EBITDA goes up.
A lot of arrows.
A lot of arrows, and like all of Silicon Valley mocked SoftBank, like, haha, these morons think they can invest like this because they've obviously had some losers recently.
Yep.
But what people don't get is they had these same decks 7 years ago, 5 years ago, when everyone in Silicon Valley thought, wow, they're just king making. The same people talking shit now
Yeah.
were the same ones 3 to 5 years ago saying SoftBank's a genius. They're just making bets and playing chess while we don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
They're just controlling ride sharing globally.
Yeah.
And now the same people are telling us that SoftBank's a bunch of morons. So I'm telling you, they're a bunch of morons.
Nice. Fight
Losers,
back.
you mean?
It's time to fight back on it.
Yeah.
But I think that's everyone, right? That's what sports people do.
Yeah.
That's what fashion people do. That's how I feel about the Trump Kanye stuff. And everyone's canceling and everyone's anti-Trump, whatever. But when your guy does it,
Yeah.
you know, like the rules don't really see themselves all the way through.
Yeah.
At least here on group chat, if we say you're an idiot, we stick to it.
Yeah. Pete's an idiot.
Yeah. Check our ratings and reviews on iTunes. Mike, you got a loser?
You know what? I just thought of a winner, believe it or not.
Okay, good.
And it's on some full skate shit.
Yep.
Alex Miller kickflip backflip that double kink row.
Yeah, so that might as well be Spanish to these two.
Yeah, I literally was like, are you speaking German?
Yeah,
But drama knows.
Yes.
That took over Instagram.
There was a big skateboard. So for all of our skaters out there was a big skate contest over the weekend.
Where?
At Frost Middle School. So Thrasher's been doing these
Frost Middle
contests.
School in
yeah.
the Valley?
Yeah.
Frost Middle
That's
School.
how we play basketball growing up.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. They had a contest there on Sunday.
So this is what's so weird about
amazing.
skateboarding is there is one set of stairs leading out of Frost Middle School that's world famous.
No way.
Because it's a skate spot where people do tricks on it. They put it in videos and you're like, wow, he did that on the Frost double set, right? Like it's a thing. So Thrasher did a contest there. Go ahead, Mike Ellie, take it from here.
Yeah, and basically this kid Alex Midler did like a trick that I never would have thought could ever possibly be done, and it was like 150 people. Like it took him like 4 hours to land it, and everybody just went. It was just,
Yeah.
it
Oh,
was
yeah.
crazy.
Can't believe it's Frost.
All at Frost.
Yeah, all
all
for us.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ties into
Well,
the
in
pod.
this trip.
Yeah, all at Frost.
Yeah,
and
that
then,
was wild.
dude, my L, I'm actually going to go against you. And
Okay.
I think you're taking the L if you don't do Brown Friday.
Wow.
I think it's strong, actually.
You like it?
Yeah.
President G wouldn't let his employees tell him
Yeah.
what to
That's
do
what
and
I'm
what not to
saying.
do.
That's not like
Exactly.
you.
You joke like a dictator on this podcast, but when it really comes down to doing some dictating,
Yeah, you step down.
you back out.
That's what I'm asking the question.
Off with their heads. You should fire everyone who just disagreed with you and launch Brown Friday.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's off brand if you don't do it. Like,
Yeah.
you
I
do
want
it-
everyone to
We have to do a poll.
comment. We're going to do a poll, but make sure, like, if you're listening to the pod, participate in the poll, comment on Dee's picks, comment on group chat, DM us, make it very clear what Dee should do here. And I'm strongly encouraging all races.
Yes. All disenfranchised.
Yeah, except for like sensitive white people. They're like, I just feel like there's a big group of white people these days that want to be sensitive for other people.
Yeah, they feel like they have to.
Yeah, like, you can't do that to my friend.
Yeah.
Shut up. You know what I mean? Let them be outraged about their own outrage. My loser is Ashton Kutcher's kids. Bunch of losers.
Just punishing young children.
There you go. So if we're getting crazy on here and we're doing Brown Friday, I'm punishing kids. Ashton Kutcher has said that he does not want to leave $1 behind for his kids.
Yeah.
So you know what? Sorry, losers. Hope
Yeah.
you guys are studying.
I hate that notion of just like leaving nothing. I like the idea of when you're wealthy, like Ashton Kutcher is very wealthy, set it up based on goals that you think they should meet. Like at 18, they get unlocked some amount of wealth. If you want them to go to college, they have to attend college, or there's like thresholds for them to unlock the wealth.
I agree.
It's just nuts that like then the whole purpose
Think
of you
about
working
that, like,
hard.
the quality of life, like his kids live a rich life. Like
That's what he's saying. He's
right?
saying they're so
yeah.
privileged.
So like they're probably flying private to vacations. They're probably
Yeah.
doing, and then when they hit 18,
They're
it's
in
like
Southwest. They have
Oh my God,
C-26.
are you kidding?
They're like, fuck.
To Atlantic City. Oh man, I don't. Number one, I don't believe him, but I also think that's stupid. Like I think it's a missed opportunity
Yeah.
to not set your kids up.
yeah.
for,
Even Bill
Make them be better
Gates
than
says
you.
like I'm donating almost all my wealth, but he's like my kids will have enough to be fine.
Yeah.
And in his mind, fine is not
500.
not
But think about
100.
if you could teach your kids how to like raise money. Essentially like Dee said, hit these metrics or pitch me on what you need $5,000 for.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. What are you going to do with it?
And
When
that's
do
what
I
he's
see a
saying.
return?
He's treating it like an investment, but I'm just saying like he worked really hard, became extremely successful. Why don't you want your kids to let them be at the front of the line instead of struggling all the way at the back?
Yeah.
I just
But
don't
you got to
understand
give
that.
some. I think the right thing is in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Right? Mikey, what do you do? When you're a $1 billion real estate investor and you have 7 kids, what are you doing with all that wealth?
Look, I'm not going to give them nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the biggest challenge is definitely like instilling virtues and skills into your kids so that
Yeah.
they can go out and continue the wealth, right? It's
Yeah.
like I believe in building a legacy, but cutting them off at zero, I think it's in the middle.
Yeah, and I
I
think
like the incentive idea. It's like
Yeah.
teach them how to use money and you actually have a little bit to invest in them with. It's like,
I want my kid to build a deck and tell me why
My
he needs
wealthiest-
$1,000.
but I find that hard to believe. I get he's saying that.
I think he's saying it for
my
Fred.
But that sounds
wealthiest
like a-
friends are some of my most successful. They are incredibly hardworking, have done extremely well, and it didn't hurt that they came from wealthy families that gave them that edge. So it's on the parents.
It's
like
on the
they had
parents.
good parents.
Yeah, it's on the
and
parents.
so they ended up being productive citizens. I'm sure there's plenty of examples of kids gone wrong, but like there's plenty of examples of kids gone right.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's recommend some content before we get out of here. What should everyone watch,
Since-
read, check out this weekend?
I'm gonna self-promote again.
Okay, Brown Friday coming.
Brown Friday. So I did an interview on my podcast Detour with a woman named Julia Hunter, who is the CEO of Jenny Kane. Jenny Kane's like one of my wife's favorite brands. It's a California luxury brand. She's a woman CEO. She's 35 years old. Super fascinating to hear her perspective as a CEO and how she's building her business. And I don't know, it was a really great interview. And if you're interested in fashion, I think you'll really like it. But really interesting just hearing a perspective of a woman being a CEO. And one of the topics we talked about that she felt that if she was a man in a similar position, she'd be making a lot more money, which is quite interesting.
Interesting. Okay, check it out. I really like, by the way, you did a podcast about raising money.
Yeah.
And I liked your honesty.
Yeah.
When you do those segments that are like very honest,
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm trying to be honest. I said Brown Friday. I said I backed down.
Well, maybe you should be honest and rep the fact that you're brown. And stop not being honest with your customer.
If I did White Friday and bleached my face white. Pete liked that. He did the Hitler symbol. He just did.
Yeah,
what kind of symbol did
He
you
just
just do
Nazi
on
saluted
me?
you, I think. Yeah. Yeah, he did. He literally
He
said
just
like,
raised his hand. I go like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Relax, Edward Norton. Jesus.
shit. Okay. Anand.
I just listened to a podcast this week. Edward Snowden, he's doing all these interviews post his book release. He just did one with Kara Swisher from Recode.
Yep.
The podcast is incredible. She actually asked some really tough questions, and I think it's important. He articulates really well why he did what he did, what it actually means, and his large point is that the government was doing things to citizens that the citizens didn't know, and it's important for the citizens to make the decisions on what the government can and can't do in terms of surveillance. And
So he's not a big China guy.
No, he's in Russia.
Yeah, I know, but he's not a big China guy.
No, he's definitely not. No.
You know what's funny is I didn't realize until I listened to his interview on Rogan that he's in Russia, but he's actively criticizing Russia.
Yeah, and he even mentions this on the Kara Swisher podcast, how if he goes, yeah, I'm risking it. Like he said, as of like 2 weeks ago, he was criticizing elections and showing that like people are stuffing ballot boxes, and he's like, I can get kicked out of this country.
And he said he like walks to the store and has like a normal life.
Yeah.
He's
fascinating.
Smoked.
I think he's too important. Like he's too big to fail.
I don't think Vladimir
Don't
gives
tell
a
that
fuck.
to Vlad.
No, if he gets smoked, everyone knows, you know, someone
what
that
are they
they
gonna
do. Yeah, that's
The
different.
USA will be like, good,
Yeah,
bye.
they'll be like, thanks, Vlad. China's killing people for us. Now Vlad is. We're all set. Let other people do our dirty work.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Mikey, you got any content recommendation?
Yeah, my life's been taken over by TikTok this last 2 weeks.
Mikey
Any
Taylor,
particular
82?
video that you enjoy?
You know, I'm like really into like the this woe and like transformation. I think it's sick. Yeah.
Just woeing all day.
Yeah, now I'm on the Snap one. Dude, it's seriously taken over though. It's pretty gnarly. Like you know, how, like when Instagram started, you like deep dive on just like scrolling.
Yeah, it just.
I'm like back in the trenches, just like
Yeah, I'm telling
it's
you,
bad.
man.
It's
feels like,
this one feels like an addiction, which is a little scary.
Yeah, it does. Especially
The
when
Chinese
you
know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do.
Especially where I noticed it was an addiction. I forgot what challenge it was, and it was like one of the first times I went and really looked in TikTok, and I just kept clicking the hashtag, and I watched 500 random people do
Yeah.
this challenge, and like these Indian kids and these Chinese
I know,
kids and
it's
these
bad.
American kids.
Yeah,
and
it's bad.
It felt like early Instagram. You know how Instagram now is like so like just is what it is that you still scroll it to check it out, but you
you're not-
kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You kind of go through your feed.
Yeah, Instagram's
so
stale.
cool. It feels like the early days of Instagram where like everything is like, wow, how are they going to use it?
Yeah.
How are they going to use
When
it?
Instagram was like a photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, photo thing.
Mine is I'm just going to double up on Anand from, I think, last week. All of the interviews that Ben Horowitz has been doing, but especially the Tim Ferriss one, I think is probably the best one. He also went on Breakfast Club, which I thought like sort of for just beginner knowledge on what he's trying to do was actually really good. And I do give them a lot of credit for even being able to have that conversation, and credit to him for going on Breakfast Club. But his new book, What You Do Is Who You Are, seems really interesting. And all these interviews about creating company culture and you know why culture in any group is so important is really interesting. And I'm just a fan of what he's doing, and those interviews are really interesting.
He's a great interview.
Yeah, he is. Okay, I think that's all we got, team.
Great.
We did it. So happy Friday to everyone. Mikey, thank
Happy
you
Brown
so
Friday.
much. Happy Brown Friday.
What'd you say, Drama?
I said it. And I'm celebrating my brown friends. Okay. Mikey, thank you.
Thank you guys.
We
Thank you,
appreciate your time.
Mikey.
We appreciate the important lessons. Guys, make sure if you're thinking about closing that escrow and getting that house, back out. It's not you know what I mean? It's multi.
You still have time.
Multi-doors for investments, rentals for living.
Yeah.
Put your money in something a little smarter. Okay,
Yeah.
get with the times. The American dream has changed.
It's over.
Yes, it's now Robinhood and a pop-in Instagram account. Okay. Have a good weekend. Subscribe to the newsletter at group-chat.com. Hit us up on Instagram at groupchatpod. We'll see you later.